Hello, everybody. Nice Link back here with another episode here on the Nice Link channel. Today is a special occasion as we now have our very first special guest. I would like to introduce David Carroll. David, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, as you just said, my name is David, also known as Desirec on the internet.
Welcome, David. For those of you who
I'm here.
go ahead, it's okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. For those of you who don't know David, he is the creator of the Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past randomizer. And as many of you saw, I recently did a Let's Play of it, and I wanted to have David on here just to answer a couple, a few questions and let you guys know a little bit about him and about the creation of this randomizer. David, what exactly gave you the idea to create this randomizer?
So this is actually the that I've worked on, following Super Metroid and Final Fantasy VI. And the first randomizer that I had ever seen was for Pokemon, which I believe was actually the first randomizer out there, Pokemon Emerald. Um, just saw those being raced. I was pretty big in the speedruns live community, and so they would come up with all sorts of interesting ways to change up their games. In addition to randomizers, they'd also do like bingos and puzzle races, things like that. So all these different sort of things interested me, and it wasn't too long before I wrote Super Met Randomizer. Decided to do FF6, and then I figured three best games on the Super Nintendo, Link to the Past, finish that off.
Yeah, I remember. I've actually seen. I haven't played the. I'm a Metroid fan myself, a huge Metroid fan, and I haven't played the randomizer, but I did recently watch fellow Let's Player, Nintendo Capri Sun, did the Link to or did the Super Metroid randomizer. Did it pretty well too. I had to give him credit. I don't think I would have done it as good as he did. I consider myself okay at the Metroid games, but he's like a pro at those, so he made it look a lot easier than I would have. Um, and I myself have seen a lot of other randomizers too. Like I've seen the original Zelda has been done, and there seems to be more and more. It's becoming a pretty big thing now amongst people who do Let's Plays and live streams on Switch or excuse me Twitch, and pretty big in the speedrunning community as well. Um, when I played Link to the Past randomizer, it kind of gave me
Mm-hmm.
a new lease on the game. Like it's one of my favorite all time games, and one of the things I got from it was just like this feels like a whole new experience. Um,
Oh yeah, that's something that I personally feel, and that I've heard from a lot of people. It's like you put the wonder back into the game, you know, and
yeah,
that always makes me feel really happy to hear that.
in my finale, I mentioned I've played A Link to the Past. It's not my number one favorite Zelda game. Of course, anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Wind Waker fan. But A Link to the Past is probably the one
Okay.
I've played A Link to the Past more than any of them though. I have it on I have the original copy on SNES. I have it on any version of the Virtual Console. I have the GBA remake of it, and
Hmm.
and it's so easy just to go through the game at this point and just collect everything and do everything, and you just do it in like a couple hours. But when you switch everything up like that, it's like, oh wow, okay, this wasn't where that is anymore. And then you're searching around, it's like, oh hey, this kind of feels like Zelda again because here you are, you're searching again, and that's what Zelda's supposed to be. It's about the hunt.
Right. Exactly. And that's something that I think is is prevalent in some of the newer Zeldas. the sense of really exploration. It's more. Uh, I mean, it's there. It's there in some of the newer Zelda titles, and I can't since I haven't really played much of Skyward Sword, I can't really comment much on that. But
Right.
but for the most part, it's very gated. It's very I guess I want to say uh, what is his name that does the sequel? Does he cut it best?
Aaron Hansen of Game Grumps.
That it's sort of like a yeah, exactly. He did the Zelda one, and
Right.
he said, basically, and he was kind of saying this about Link to the Past, comparing it to the original Zelda, but like it's a guided tour.
Yeah.
Here you go. Don't forget to collect your, Master Sword at the gift shop or whatever, right? Um, so, actually changing this stuff around, I think, kind of fills that sort of void that we've been missing in Zelda for a little while, at
Yeah.
least until Breath of the Wild comes out.
Yeah, that's
And
definitely a game I know that pretty much everybody on planet Earth is looking for. When you were, creating this, this randomizer, was it a hard task? Was it a long task? Was this something you were able to do like pretty quickly, or was this something that took a long time?
well, okay, so I mean, I'm going to start out by saying there are a number of versions that come out. So I'm going to talk about the first version, and then kind
Okay.
of maybe go along from there. So, previously to this, my first randomizer was the Super Metroid randomizer, and Super Metroid and Zelda are actually basically the same game. The differences being, obviously the setting,
Right.
and then with Zelda, it tends to be, the items that you need to continue forward. Like most of that is within dungeons, so like most of the places that are blocked off by Hookshot, for example, are in the Swamp Palace, and so on and so forth. And there's fewer. It's not like Metroid is. If we put all these items in one big dungeon,
Mm.
whereas Zelda is, here's the overworld, let's segment it off into a few, neat areas, and then, but basically they're the same game. So it turns out that the algorithm that I developed for randomizing Super Metroid items moved over very easily to the Link to the Past. So the challenge came from actually figuring out, well, how do I move the items around? Um, So I used Hyrule Magic, which is a tool that hackers and other ROM editors use to edit Link to the Past.
Right.
And by analyzing that output, I was able to figure out, okay, well, this affects this place and so on and so forth. Built my first version. It took about 2 weeks. I actually sat down to do it.
Mm.
And posted it up to the SRL Link to the Past Discord. And uh, they had a gentleman cat who's SNES assembler contact me and say, look, I can fix some of these things and help you build a better randomizer.
Right.
And that's what he did, because the first version I couldn't move around the items like that Sahasrara gave you, or the hobo, or anything like that. I didn't know how to do it without breaking the game.
Right.
Um, so there's been a lot of help by Carcat, and then since then also a fellow by the name of Christos Owen joined. He's done a lot of work on greatly improving the logic. Version 7 we just released yesterday.
Oh wow, I'll have to check that
Completely
out.
overhauled logic. Um, completely changed the way that we did all the dungeons, um, key generation, stuff like that.
And it's something I'd like to,
All thanks to him.
if I could interject for just a second, if something a lot of people
Sure.
may not know, because for those of you who've only watched just my Let's Play of this and haven't checked out, other playthroughs online of it, there's more than one randomizer. There's 7 now, right?
Um, Okay, okay. So versions. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's 7 different
So
versions.
so
So like if you play like for those of you who may not understand, if you play like version 3, the hook shot will be like in one spot, and if you play like version 6, it'll be in a completely different spot. So there's it's almost
well,
like
okay.
you've
So
got
I mean the versions. It's program versions. So version 7 is
right.
an upgrade to version 6. There's more features. There's new things like that.
Okay.
And that's what I mean when I say versions. So
Okay.
yeah, it's like upgrading to Windows 10 or something like that, right?
Yeah. So that kind of segues into the next question is this something that you plan to keep on producing, to keep on adding to and updating over the course of the months and years to come?
Oh, absolutely. We definitely have features for the future. At least a couple of versions planned out ahead. So since we just released version 7, our next release is going to be in about 2 weeks. We're going to take all of there's already people reporting some uncompletable seeds,
Hmm.
and so we're going to focus on getting those like little logic errors fixed, and just enhancing the randomness in small ways. We're gonna have so one of the things that V7 brought was moving all the pendants and crystals around, so all the pendants can be, like you might be the Eastern Palace and get the blue pendant, and now you have to go find the green pendant if you want to
Oh, I
get
like
a
that.
Charlo's item, right?
That's
Okay.
pretty cool. I like
Same thing
that.
for the crystals in the Dark World. One of the things that we're going to do in V8 is we're going to have crystals may appear in the Light World, pendants may appear in the Dark World,
Oh, I like that.
which is definitely going to change around, especially from a racing perspective. Now I need to go do Tower of Ahara if I want to go to Ganon's Tower at the end of the game or something like that.
Earlier you mentioned um, parts of the game that could be unpassable. I actually never encountered that in my playthrough. I went through it and 100% of it. I got everything pretty good. I got stuck on the flippers. That was the big one that
Okay.
I got stuck on was the flippers. But I did eventually. I ended up. That's when I ended up contacting you originally, and I was going to use a guide, but I figured I'll at least drag this out for 2 or 3 episodes, and I'll look for other stuff while I'm not looking for it. And I ended up finding it, thankfully, and never had to use the guide for it. And I was kind of proud of that because that's a pretty good accomplishment to go through it and not have to use a guide. Um,
There are definitely some tricky interactions that can come into play with the randomizer. Um, I had a number of people, complain they can't move forward and then realize, oh, I can use the cape to go up into Aghanim's Tower, right?
yeah, yeah. A lot of people
Just
actually don't know
little
that they can
obscure
use
things like
that.
that.
Yeah. I didn't know that you could use the cape to go through that until like a couple years ago myself. What about as far as doing other games with randomizers? Any plans for other games?
Well, since I have, you know, Super Metroid FF6 right now, um, it's really definitely a full workload to maintain, Link to the Past and,
Yeah.
and Super Metroid. I'm not even messing with FF6 right now. That randomizer's kind of crappy, to be honest. I don't have any other games planned for the future. If I were to do something, it would almost certainly still be a Super Nintendo game because it's just my favorite console.
Oh yeah, you gotta love
Uh,
the Super Nintendo. So many great titles.
exactly, exactly, and I do want to highlight the fact there are other randos out there. I know you mentioned this earlier, but there's a couple specifically that I want to call out,
Okay,
if I may.
sure, go right ahead.
So there's the Pokemon Randomizer originally by Artemis 251, and now kind of moved on to the Universal Pokemon Randomizer by Devon Su, which is fantastic. Like I said, it was sort of my inspiration. Like he was sort of the pioneer of the randomizer genre.
Yeah,
And then there's the Zelda 1 Randomizer by Fred Coughlin.
Yeah, I've seen that. That one
Absolutely
looks really hard.
fantastic. It's oh, just mind-boggling how many different things you can do with that. I mean,
Hmm.
Zelda 1 is truly, a very, very free-form game, and they've done a lot to like really inject a lot, and a lot of those things I'm hoping to eventually put into the Link to the Past randomizer one day.
That would be
Like I do want to randomize dungeon entrances. You go into a random cave and then, oh well, there's the ice palace,
no,
right?
that would be amazing. Because that's what I liked about the Zelda One randomizer. It's like anything could be anywhere. You could go into where the dungeon one could has always been, and it could be a grumble guy in there or something like that. And it's
Right,
that's truly
right,
random.
right. Absolutely. And the last one I do want to call out is the Beyond Chaos randomizer for Final Fantasy VI, by a fellow named Abyssanim. And he took he actually decided to write this while waiting for me to work on, one of the versions of my own FF6 randomizer, and he just took this idea and he just ran off with it and did amazing things. If you haven't seen it, it's a truly unique experience. He like generates new enemies. He, has totally different skills, and I mean, Beyond Chaos is truly an apt name for this project. So if you like FF6 at all, give it a go.
It is a very good game and one and a very underappreciated one in the series. Gets overshadowed by Seven, but definitely a good game. Yeah, I highly recommend all of you check out these randomizers. I will be sure to post links in the description of this video to all the stuff that we've talked about here, to the Link to Past randomizer and these other ones. If you'll be so kind, David, to send me these links, I'll be more than glad to post them up here in the description of this video. I do want to thank you again for being my first guest here on Nice Link. We greatly appreciate having you here. It was so much fun playing this game for all of these people, and just thanks for everything, man.
You know, every time that I hear, someone playing the randomizer and saying, I had a blast with it. I got fortunate enough to run into, uh, oh my gosh, I don't remember his name now. He did a Link to the Past randomizer as well.
Was it Pro
Um,
Jared?
and as Pro Jared, that's right. I happened to run into him at a Magic tournament actually,
It sounds
and
like Jared. He's
so we
actually
got
how
to
I
talking
found out
about it.
about it.
So yes, it was Pro Jared, and I'm terrible with names, so I know I've forgotten a couple so far, but yeah, absolutely. Just you know, running into people that have run say, this was such a blast to play. That's it really, you know feel to hear and to know that something that I've created is positively impacting people out there. So just playing, keep having fun with it. Keep, if you run into problems, we have the GitHub issue tracker. Just post your questions on there. We have a lot of great people who are willing to, you know, come and help you out. Blue Viper 85 does an absolutely phenomenal job just handling almost every issue that comes in. As I mentioned, Christos Owen also very active there. One person that I forgot to mention helped with the development, Small Hacker. He joined relatively recently to help with Carcat doing all the Super Nintendo assembly stuff. So he's
Awesome.
made some pretty good contributions to the randomizer as well.
That is amazing. It's a great little community. I've posted a few questions in there myself over the last few weeks while I completed this randomizer myself, and they're all great people, very nice, and they answer very quickly. I've never had a question go more than maybe 20 minutes without being answered. But that is going to be all for today. I do want to thank you once again, David, for stopping by and spending some time with us here at Nice Link. I want to thank all of you for watching our first podcast here on YouTube. And everybody have a wonderful day. David, anything else you want to say real quick?
Just thank you for having me.
And thank you, man. Everybody have a great day. God bless and keep playing games.